So, as I'm sure some of you might have gathered already by my most recent videos, I got the chance to play Season 1 of Battlefield 6 early in a closed capture session with thanks to EA. And given it's now been about a day since I had a chance to play, I've had a moment to sort of get my thoughts together, and I wanted to give you guys a bit more of a calculated first impression on the new content we have coming to the game so far. And this injection of content is quite important, honestly, because while we are getting this relatively quickly after the launch of the game, and it's a nice touch-up on the shiny aspect, we are going to be waiting a little bit after the fact for the game to drop another package of content, likely not until we step into the new year. So this needs to carry us for quite some time here. It also represents our first look at the cosmetics coming to the game as well, which I know has also been a bit of a hot topic on social media, and we're going to address that later in the video too. So, does Season 1 hold up? And look, in all honesty, I think it does for the most part. We're going to start off with the maps. As you guys know, we got to play Blackwell Fields and Eastwood, both of which are set in the Californian region and represent a really unique backdrop for the Battlefield franchise to set itself into. In that sense, without question, the maps certainly feel fresh and they feel like a solid addition to the game visually. They are both absolutely gorgeous, and I can't fault them on that front. Every time I was sort of looking around and enjoying the gameplay, yeah, I kept getting lost in the vistas that we were fighting around. From a gameplay perspective, however, it was honestly a bit of a mixed bag, depending on your playstyle and how you like to enjoy your Battlefield experience, because if you like very certain things here, then one of two of these maps is not going to be your cup of tea. I mean, Blackwell Fields, that's the first map we're going to be getting off the rip here, and if I'm being honest, I think this might be the weakest of the two that we got to play. Now, when I say that, I acknowledge that vehicle main players and, well, recon main players are going to absolutely froth this map. There's a lot of open ground, and while the terrain does afford some natural cover for infantry between objectives, it can be a bit of a shooting gallery from time to time. When I was flying around in an attack helicopter, the farm was just plentiful because there was so few spots for infantry to find and take cover, which is fine, by the way. There's definitely an appetite within the community for more maps like this, and I think that we're finally getting one here with Blackwell Fields. But I think that infantry are going to feel a bit like cannon fodder on this map from time to time, so just expect that going into it. It's far from my favorite map in the game, I think, but it won't be the one that I immediately jump out of when it appears in my matchmaking queue. On the contrary, I was far more impressed by Eastwood, so much so to the point where this might actually be my new favorite map in the game when I get more time with it. I thought this map flowed excellently, and by comparison to Blackwell, I think it offered a slightly better mix of elements between infantry and vehicles. The dynamic just felt a little bit more even, if you will. There was ample space for both elements of the game to play around in, the points of interest were stellar to fight on, and the destruction, man, the destruction on this map, it's some of the best in the game right now across the board, and I know that a lot of you are going to just spend entire games leveling buildings here. And I mean, like, come on guys, the golf carts, they are absolute gold, and I really can't wait to see people absolutely sending it on these things. This thing, like, they really remind me of the skiff loaders that we saw in Battlefield 3 and 4. I love that we're getting vehicles like this back. Bring it on, DICE. More of this, please. But no, speaking of vehicles, actually, we probably should talk about, you know, the star of the show when it comes to vehicle additions in Battlefield 6 Season 1 here, being the Traverser Mark II APC. This thing is honestly a beast in the limited amount of time that I got to play with it in the test. It can equip any top-mounted weapons that are available to the IFVs and the MBTs, and it also has a really interesting bunch of utility upgrades that gives it, you know, really unique abilities. Things like improved capture speed on objectives, and there was even like some kind of medical support suite as well. So with a full squad also sitting in the two side-mounted LMGs this thing comes with, I can see this thing being a lot of fun to run. I might see if I can get the boys squatted up to put this thing to use in a video, honestly. It could be that good. Anyways, one thing I didn't have a chance to show you guys in the two videos that I dropped last night was the two new small-scale game modes, STRIKEPOINT and SABOTAGE. Now, I know, I can hear the groaning of the Battlefield faithful from a country mile away as we merely utter the sense of small-scale modes in Battlefield. Ugh, small-scale mode should be for COD. This is Battlefield, damn it. I want all-out warfare at the largest of scales. But I have to be honest with you guys, these modes are really welcome additions in my book. STRIKEPOINT in particular, which basically plays as this game's take on search and destroy, has this real sense of intensity that feels really satisfying to overcome in a Battlefield ecosystem. The boys and I really locked in when we were playing this mode, and the elements of squad play, reviving each other, the gunplay, and all the gadgets there all had a role to play in this mode as well. It was a unique take on this for Battlefield, but despite it being a bit out of character, I actually think I'll catch myself playing it quite a bit when it comes out. Sabotage, on the other hand, was a touch interesting too. It felt a bit jank at times, as you just spent a lot of time in a match just laying into the supply boxes to win the game. It actually took me and the boys quite a bit of time to work out how to play this mode, but it still created some really intense gameplay moments too. It did feel a bit like TDM with extra steps from time to time, but given this is a limited time game mode with STRIKEPOINT being a mainstay, I think Battlefield Studios have certainly put their eggs in the right basket here with which mode they've chosen to kick around and to optimize, if you will. Now, the weapons I have saved second to last here because on one hand, we have a very serviceable entry to the arsenal that I think many are going to enjoy. And on the other hand, we have a weapon that I think is going to change the game in a massive way. Firstly, the SOR 300SC, the serviceable of the two, if you could believe it. The weapon basically takes the groundwork set by the SOR 556 assault rifle in the game right now and makes the platform lean into some more extremes, if you will. It holds a far more extreme damage profile in close quarters combat with a maximum damage of 33 per shot as opposed to the base weapon's 25, but it also features a far more aggressive damage fall off that sees it struggle far more at range. So while it still carries a lot of that accuracy that the SOR platform is renowned for, it carries a far more aggressive playstyle. But when you connect with it, let me tell you folks, it connects in a massive way. This thing was a lot of fun to use, and with a couple of really neat attachment combos, it feels like it's going to be a front runner in a lot of people's weapon contentions going forward. However, on the other hand, we have the Mini Scout sniper rifle, and let me tell you guys that Battlefield Studios may have just given players the means to score some of the sickest sniping, no-scoping, and quick-scoping montages that we have ever seen since the original Modern Warfare 2 days. I mean, you guys can see it in the gameplay now, right? This thing holds the hipfire accuracy that, quite frankly, is criminal for a sniper rifle and basically just lets you roam around CQC choke points and player spaces, doming people without ever needing to aim down a sight. I mean, in all honesty, there's going to be times where I'd prefer to run this thing over a shotgun in said CQC domain. And on top of that, as the icing on the cake, the ADS time on this thing feels incredibly snappy, so you're going to have absolutely no issues in dialing in on targets with the scope when you need to. Now, this does come with a couple of catches. For one, this weapon seems to feature no sweet spot mechanic whatsoever, so it cannot one-shot people to body shots at any range. That hurts the weapon's dependability if you can't reliably go for headshots. It also can't seem to equip a straight pull bolt, so that means you gotta, un-ADS every time you fire the thing. So the aggression and the accuracy that this thing boasts absolutely demands precision on your behalf to make it work. But man, I feel like the absolute giga chads in this community are going to start hitting some nutty clips with it. It's going to change the Battlefield in a very big way, I feel. There's also the new pistol, but if I'm being honest, it's a bit of a null event for me. Like when I first saw it in the roadmap, I thought this was going to be the full auto Glock equivalent of this game, but it's actually not. It's just another 25 rounder sort of, semi-automatic pistol, and it doesn't really add much, if I'm being honest, other than a bit of variety. So, yeah. It's there to use if you'd like to use something that takes on the form of a Glock, essentially. But I have, of course, saved the absolute best for last here in this video, guys, because quite frankly, the community for Battlefield has gone nuclear once again, and it's regarding the brand new skins that are coming in Season 1. In this build of the game, we got a first look at a lot of the skins that I imagine are going to either be locked behind challenges or the Battle Pass that we'll be able to grind our way through when Season 1 comes out. And look, guys, I'll be the first to admit I do not want to see Battlefield going too wacky. I don't want to see Beavis and Butthead, I don't want to see Nicki Minaj, and I don't want to see my boy Petey Griffin reviving and healing up tanks and stuff like that, right? Battlefield is meant to be a grounded and authentic military shooter, and so far, the game has done a really good job at achieving that with its default skins and its light customization. And now we get our first look at what the post-launch skin content is going to look like. Now, I'll be honest, when I looked at these things, I thought, they're being a bit creative here, but it still remains in-world and authentic. It's nothing too crazy. They all look like some degree of military outfits, but I'm just going to be a little bit frank here and suggest that the Battlefield community might just be a little bit allergic to color here. Yes, some of these are a touch outlandish, and I think for me personally, they are the most outlandish I would be comfortable in seeing in Battlefield 6 here to maintain some degree of authenticity. And look, I'll be honest, across the board, there's some really cool and grounded skins here that fit within world and they look really, really nice. The Regiment skin, for example, I really like this one. The Beret skin that's available, I think, on the NATO side also looks pretty sweet. I saw this on Twitter as well, but this, I think it's what, either Norwegian or Danish sniper skin here that we're rocking. Again, sick. Love to see it. This is cool. But my God, the outcry I've seen in particular from this one, the blue skin, and the skin with hints of orange on it, I'm just going to come out and say, guys, it must mean that the Battlefield community is allergic to even the simplest touches of color that isn't tan, green, you know, desert, or gray, right? Like, I don't mean to go on the attack here, guys, but these are still soldiers in just slightly different color patterns, and quite frankly, this is not so outlandish to the point where it warrants the kind of response that we've seen from some members of the community here. Like, I'm sorry, we just can't have endless varieties of tan, urban, gridded camos. It's just not how it's going to work, guys. They need to make a dime of some kind on camos and skins in this game, and the way to do that is to get a little bit creative. And these, I think, are an ample amount of creativity without breaking the immersion or breaking the authenticity of the game. And I don't know about you guys, but if I was a game designer and if I was somebody working on this game for the long run, if I was tasked by my higher-ups by making endless sort of tanned military camo skins, I'd want to go absolutely insane. Again, I think everything that we're seeing here from a cosmetics perspective is well within line of what we should be expecting here. Anyone that is losing their mind, especially over the blue and the orange skins, yeah, guys, let's reel it back. Let's pull it in a bit. I think we're getting a bit hyperbolic here, if I'm being honest with you guys. But light rant on the cosmetics aside, guys, I actually think Season 1 is a good start for Battlefield 6. I grew up in the area where Battlefield Premium was a thing for Battlefield 3 and 4, where you'd get, you know, 5 new maps and 10 new weapons per content release. But by comparison to 2042, this is by and far a massive improvement on the content delivery that we're getting for this game. And I think that ultimately, if DICE can keep up this kind of pace, we're going to keep seeing some really cool stuff get added to the game. And with Season 1, we're making a really good start on that front, so here's hoping that that run continues. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to backhand the like button as it does go a long way to supporting the channel. Get subscribed for more Battlefield 6 hitting your eyeballs very, very shortly, guys. I've got a lot of really exciting things on the way. And leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts on Battlefield 6 Season 1? Do you think it's solid? Do you think it needs improvement? Let me know. I'm keen to hear your thoughts. But until then, guys, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one, guys. Take care.